Back out here at the 2015 D3Hoops.com Classic at South Point Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. 15 teams, 16 games, and 15 post-game interviews. And we're talking with Jon Herbrechtsmeyer, the head coach at Bethel University in your 14th season. And team comes away with a 1-1 split, having beat Millsaps in the first game of the tournament, and then coming back with a hard-fought loss to the third-ranked Bruins of George Fox. And Coach, even though you guys won the first game, lost the second, really felt like the Royals played a much more complete game, a much more complete team the second time around.
Without a doubt. We're a little disappointed that we didn't handle George Fox's pressure better early, but we had 16 halftime turnovers and only 6 in the second half. We're not going to see that level of pressure from anybody in the MIAC that's that deep and consistently presses that way. That's made us better. Their matchup zone is really tough. That will only make us better down the road. And really, right now, it's to get ready for conference. And this was a great opportunity for our kids to see a top 5 team from another part of the country. And what a great opportunity you've provided for us. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. We're first of all, we're very glad that you guys came. We're always glad when a team is interested in playing top flight competition, and we have a game to provide you in that vein. So we appreciate that. It seemed like in the first quarter or early on in the game, they rebounded you really well. You mentioned the turnovers. You kind of slowly erased that rebounding advantage, and then started taking better care of the basketball. And then in the end, when you guys were battling back into it, George Fox just kind of lit it up from three-point range at the end.
They made threes. We went zone because of a lot of foul trouble, right. And I don't like to go zone out of. I consider that kind of out of weakness, out of necessity. Yeah. But the fouls were really troubling, and then for a while it worked, and then they got a little bit hot. And I thought really number 31, Toriyama, was really the difference in the game. She hit at least 3 or 4 buzzer-beating shots. At least 3 of them were threes, where we've played great defense for an entire possession. We get a hand in and she makes it. And I just told the kids, I said, that's the difference in the game, and that's a bench player for them. That's a starter on any other team in the MIAC, and she's the difference in the game. We did a lot of the things we felt like we needed to do in the second half to be back in the game. We just couldn't account for her.
I think one of the bright sides for you guys here this week is the return of Cali Zimmermans. So, obviously 24 points here in this game. Fantastic performance from the foul line. But, how close is she? Is that 100%? Is that her full true to form?
She's not 100% because she still can't go enough minutes. I think physically she's really close to being back. And with her playing that way, I think we can be the team we thought we'd be within our own conference. We still need Callie and Rachel to kind of get themselves in full game shape. They're starting to get there, but they have moments where they're out there and they don't pursue rebounds, probably because of conditioning. Maybe they don't rotate and go block or alter a shot that, with a little better conditioning that is completely understandable off the injuries, I think we'll be that much stronger.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what's going on with Rachel Upski, right? She's the 2013 D3Hoops.com National Rookie of the Year, but really kind of looked like a shell of herself here this week.
Well, she's coming off a knee injury, and I think a lot of it's more mental than physical right now. She just has to get through the mental block of, I can move on that leg. She sustained a pretty significant injury the 5th day of practice and has been cleared to play, but her mobility just isn't quite what it is most of the time, and it looks like she has good days and bad days. Like today was not a particularly good day for her, just mobility-wise. When her mobility's there, she's one of the elite bigs in the entire country, let alone the conference.
Yeah, it's a pretty high expectations for you guys this year, especially in the conference, being voted the preseason #1 in the MIAC. I know preseason is now almost 3 months ago, but St. Thomas lost so much from last year. You guys went to the NCAA tournament, have all of these key players back, and now you come back in at 5-5, 2-2 in the conference, and obviously some of those expectations are tempered.
They're not really tempered.
Okay.
We're 2-2.
Yeah.
We still want to win the league.
We got 14 games left.
Yeah, we've got 14 games left. Every team in the conference except for St. Mary's has a loss. So we feel like we're set up in a good position. Obviously, some big games after Christmas. We're going to play a quality Northwestern team who's a contender in the UMAC, and then St. Olaf with only 1 conference loss, and St. Thomas, who, one of the other favorites to win it in the first week we're back. This has prepared us well for that, to play this level of competition.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Molly OToole. I know you and I have talked about her contribution and her addition to the squad off camera, but tell us a little bit about how she got to you guys.
Well, we recruited her heavily out of high school, played at state championship Hopkins program in Minnesota. Great player, great family. I'd recruited an older sister. I mean, Molly and I go way back. The bottom line was out of high school, so I think a lot of the decision was financial, and we didn't come through with a great aid package, and so St. Mary's won out, had a great freshman year, and then her coach left to go to a Division II program, and I got the phone call from her in the middle of the night out in Washington, D.C. while I was on vacation, and she actually was already at St. Mary's and said, "This isn't where I want to be if my coach isn't going to be here." So it's been a boon for us, and given all the injuries we've had, it's been really difficult to sort of reintegrate the injured players when we were trying to figure out who we were going to be with her. But it's just going to take time now that we have Cali back and Rachel back. I think we'll have a solid 10-player rotation, and Molly's certainly a huge part of that.
Guard play here in this game obviously was not stellar for you guys. I know you mentioned, and of course it's true, the MIAC is not going to press you guys like George Fox did, but where do you see the backcourt play improving for you guys?
Well, second half was more who we are. First half, they got us a little bit, well, they sped us up, and we just didn't stay within the principles of what we were trying to do, and that created a lot of turnovers for us. I have a lot of faith in particularly our senior guards, Hannah Newald and Sid Schultz. I'm sure they had a bunch of turnovers tonight, but I'm not.
Yeah, well, everybody did. So.
Yeah, so we'll spread the wealth there. Long story short, I'm not concerned about it in the long run. They'll be fine. Angie Kirchhoff as a sophomore will be fine. Abby Miller played one of her best games. She transferred from St. Ben's, another kid that, trying to find her way in the culture of what we do. And she's really played well here, and that's only going to make us better in the long run.
The MIAC sometimes can be a bit of a grind. Teams in the metro area don't necessarily have to travel as much, but you have often, do you still have Monday, Wednesday, Saturday weeks sometimes where you're playing 3 games?
Not anymore. We switched to the new 18-game model, and that took away all the Mondays. So on the women's side, we have none of those Mondays that can create the 5 games, a 9-day scenario that used to be commonplace in the old 22-game schedule. So that is a real blessing, particularly with the team that is coming off some injuries and trying to get fully healthy. That will help us a lot to just have a regular Wednesday, Saturday schedule.
And I know you understand the benefit of having 7 non-conference games to schedule instead of 3, and what that can do for you in terms of selection possibilities for the tournament.
Oh, without a doubt. A year ago, if we don't have the extra games in California against quality West region opponents, we don't get an at-large bid. And this game, even though it's a loss, I told our kids, I said, we're George Fox fans the rest of the season. We're Millsaps fans because we want them to drive our strength of schedule, and that's why we chose to come out and play in a tournament like this.
Well, we're glad they were here. Glad you were here, Coach. That's Jon Herbrechtsmeyer, the head coach of the Bethel Royals. His team split here at the D3Hoops.com Classic.